Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. And today we're going to be exploring the life of Stephen Hawking.
Yeah,
But not just the, kind of black holes and equations that you might already know.
right.
Um, you've sent in some really fascinating excerpts
Yes.
that go way beyond the typical science bio. So get ready to see kind of a different side of this iconic figure.
Yeah, it's true. We often hear about Hawking's genius,
Mm-hmm.
but what really stands out in these sources is kind of the path he took to get there.
You're right.
It wasn't always straight A's and effortless brilliance.
Yeah.
In fact, his early school years were surprisingly average.
Yeah, mediocre was the
Yeah,
word that jumped out at me.
right.
Not exactly the prodigy image we're used to.
Yeah.
So what shifted things?
Well, the excerpts paint a really vivid picture of his home life.
Okay.
His parents weren't just supportive. They actively cultivated his curiosity.
Okay.
Imagine a young Stephen taking apart clocks and radios, not just to see how they work,
Right.
but to try and build something new from them.
Yeah. That's awesome. But did they have like a lab in their basement or something?
Not quite, but close.
Okay.
One story that stuck with me was about a chemistry set gone wrong,
Oh.
creating a mini explosion during dinner.
Oh, no.
And his mom, instead of panicking, apparently said something like, well, at least it wasn't the sulfuric acid.
Okay, that's a family that embraces learning, even if it gets a little messy.
Right.
It makes you wonder how many brilliant minds are out there just needing that kind of environment to truly blossom.
Yeah, it raises a really important point about how we nurture talent.
Mm-hmm.
Formal education is essential.
Sure.
But so is that freedom to experiment,
Yeah.
to fail to learn through doing.
Right. It's not just about memorizing facts. It's about that spark of asking why and what if.
Exactly.
Which, speaking of what ifs, leads us to a pivotal moment in Hawking's life.
Yeah.
His ALS diagnosis at age 21.
Yeah.
I can't imagine getting news like that, especially at the start of your adult life.
It's hard to fathom, and the sources don't sugarcoat the initial devastation. But what's fascinating is how Hawking himself reflected on this period.
Yeah.
He said it gave him a new perspective on time, a sense of urgency to make every moment count.
So it wasn't some instant now I'm motivated switch, but a deeper shift in how he viewed his own life's trajectory.
Exactly. He talks about feeling like he had less to lose,
Right.
which paradoxically freed him to take on bolder scientific challenges. And this is where we start to see his work on black holes truly take shape.
Okay, black holes, everybody's heard of them.
Right.
But I'll admit, I'm fuzzy on the details. I know Hawking's work was revolutionary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but how so?
Well, before Hawking, black holes were considered these cosmic dead ends.
Okay.
Points of no return where everything gets sucked in and vanishes forever. But he introduced this whole new concept, Hawking radiation.
Hold on, radiation from a black hole?
Right.
How does that even work?
It's complex, but think of it this way. Even black holes aren't totally isolated from the quantum world.
Hawking showed that they actually emit a faint stream of particles, losing energy and mass over time.
So they're not these eternal, unchanging objects?
Precisely. It was a radical idea that challenged the very foundation of what we thought we knew about black holes.
Wow.
They weren't just traps. They were dynamic entities participating in the universe's energy dance.
That's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It seems like Hawking wasn't just solving equations, he was really reshaping our understanding of the cosmos. And from what I've read, this was just the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
He was also obsessed with this idea of unifying quantum mechanics and general relativity.
That's right. The grand quest for a theory of everything.
Yeah.
You see, these two pillars of physics, while incredibly successful, are fundamentally incompatible.
Okay.
General relativity describes gravity on a grand scale, planets and galaxies, while quantum mechanics governs the subatomic realm.
So it's like trying to fit two different puzzle pieces together that just don't belong.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's what made Hawking's ambition so audacious. He wasn't content with just explaining black holes. He wanted a framework that could explain the entire universe, from the tiniest particles to the largest cosmic structures.
Talk about shooting for the stars, literally.
Yeah.
But before we get too deep into those cosmic theories,
Sure.
I want to touch on something that really struck me about Hawking.
Okay.
His role in advocating for accessibility, especially in science.
Absolutely.
It wasn't just a personal need, it became part of his larger message, right?
Absolutely. His reliance on assistive technology wasn't just a practical solution, it was a statement. He showed the world that a brilliant mind could flourish even within the constraints of a physical challenge.
And it wasn't just about him.
Right.
He constantly pushed for making science more inclusive,
Yes.
for recognizing talent regardless of ability.
That's a crucial part of his legacy.
Yeah.
He challenged the stereotype of the lone genius, proving that science thrives on collaboration and diversity of thought.
Which, in a way, connects back to his upbringing, right? That encouragement to experiment, to think differently, to push boundaries, those are qualities that benefit everyone, not just those who fit a certain mold.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is, and it resonates far beyond the scientific community.
Right.
Hawking's life becomes a testament to the human spirit's ability to adapt and thrive, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges.
You know, it's interesting because for as much as he embraced that public role, the excerpts also reveal a very private side to Hawking.
Yeah.
His personal life, particularly his marriage to Jane Wilde, went through some incredibly tough times,
Right.
especially as his fame grew and his condition progressed.
It's a reminder that behind the icon, the brilliant mind, was a real person grappling with real human emotions and experiences.
Right.
The strain on his marriage, the constant media attention, those were pressures most of us can't even imagine.
And yet through it all,
Yeah.
he never seemed to lose that sense of humor, that twinkle in his eye.
Yeah.
Remember his appearances on shows like The Simpsons and Star Trek?
Oh,
He was clearly having fun with it.
that's what made him so relatable, even to people who might not understand the intricacies of his work.
Right.
He didn't take himself too seriously, which made science feel more approachable, less intimidating.
Yeah. It wasn't all stuffy lectures and equations.
Right.
He understood the power of pop culture to spark people's curiosity, to make them think, hey, maybe science isn't so boring after all.
And let's not forget his book, A Brief History of Time.
Oh, yeah.
It became a global phenomenon, bringing complex cosmological ideas to a mainstream audience. Suddenly, everyone was talking about black holes and the Big Bang.
It's amazing to think about the impact that one book had.
It really is.
It made people realize that you don't need a PhD to be fascinated by the universe and to ponder those big questions about existence.
Exactly.
And speaking of big questions, Hawking wasn't shy about sharing his views on topics beyond pure physics.
Right.
He was a self-proclaimed atheist, and his beliefs often sparked controversy, particularly within religious communities. Right. He was very vocal about seeing the universe as governed by laws of physics, not divine intervention.
And the excerpts show how deeply rooted this perspective was in his scientific worldview.
Right.
For Hawking, understanding the universe meant seeking explanations within the framework of science, not relying on supernatural forces.
It's a reminder that science and spirituality aren't always at odds, but they can represent different ways of seeking truth and meaning.
Exactly. And for Hawking, that quest for truth was deeply intertwined with his passion for teaching and mentoring. Even as his physical condition worsened, he remained dedicated to nurturing the next generation of scientists.
Can you imagine having Stephen Hawking as your professor?
Oh.
Talk about an intimidating yet inspiring experience.
The sources describe his teaching style as both challenging and engaging.
Yeah.
He pushed his students to think critically, to question assumptions, just as he had done throughout his own career.
And I bet his lectures were packed.
I was sure.
It wasn't just about the science, it was about the man himself, the story of overcoming adversity, the sheer force of will.
It was a living example of how passion and intellect can triumph over physical limitations.
Yeah.
He showed his students that the pursuit of knowledge was a journey worth taking no matter the obstacles.
And that's something we can all learn from regardless of our field.
Right.
That spirit of inquiry, of pushing boundaries, that's what drives progress. That's what sparks innovation.
Absolutely. And in a way, that brings us back to Hawking's broader impact on society. He wasn't just a scientist. He became a cultural icon, a symbol of human potential.
It's true. His image transcended science.
Yeah.
He appeared on TV shows and movies. He even had a voice synthesizer that became instantly recognizable.
He understood the power of media, of pop culture, to connect with people on an emotional level. He didn't shy away from the spotlight. He used it to advocate for science, for disability rights, for the future of humanity.
And his voice carried weight.
Oh, yeah.
People listened when Stephen Hawking spoke, even if they didn't always agree with him.
Right.
He challenged us to think bigger, to see beyond our limitations, to embrace the unknown.
And that's a legacy that continues to inspire us today.
Right.
As we face new challenges from climate change to artificial intelligence, Hawking's message of resilience, of intellectual curiosity, of pushing the boundaries of what's possible feels more relevant than ever.
It's funny, we often talk about scientific legacies,
Right.
but with Hawking, it almost feels too small a word. His impact ripples out in so many directions, touching on pop culture,
Yeah?
social justice,
Yeah.
even philosophy.
What fascinates me is how he bridged those worlds.
Right.
You know, think about it.
Yeah.
You could have him explaining complex cosmology on a late-night talk show one day,
Right.
then guesting on Star Trek the next,
Yeah.
and it never felt gimmicky.
Yeah.
He held on to that core scientific respect.
It's true. It wasn't about chasing fame.
Right.
It was like he saw a bigger opportunity. If people were tuning in for the celebrity, maybe they'd stick around for the science too.
And that's a lesson for all of us, really.
Yeah.
Especially in academia, where sometimes we get stuck in our own jargon.
Yeah.
Hawking showed that engaging a wider audience doesn't cheapen the work. It can actually make it more impactful.
Okay, but let's be honest. Part of his appeal was that personal story, right?
Yeah.
The image of him in that wheelchair.
Right.
The voice synthesizer. It made him instantly recognizable.
Yeah.
Almost a symbol of the power of the human will.
There's no denying the FICO played a role. But I think what resonated even deeper was his refusal to be defined by his condition.
Right.
He was a scientist, first and foremost, and he never let anything overshadow that.
It's like if Stephen Hawking could tackle the mysteries of the universe with everything he was facing.
Right.
What's our excuse for not pursuing our own passions? You know?
Exactly.
It sets a pretty high bar.
It's a powerful message of resilience, especially for young people today.
Yeah.
You know, they're inheriting a world with some daunting challenges.
Right.
Climate change, social divisions, rapid technological advancements. Hawking's life becomes a blueprint for not just surviving, but thriving amidst uncertainty.
And he didn't sugarcoat things either.
No.
The excerpts you shared include his warnings about AI, the need for ethical development, even the possibility of existential threats.
Right.
It wasn't all starry-eyed optimism. There was
Huh.
a pragmatism there, too.
It speaks to his commitment to rational thinking, even when it came to uncomfortable truths.
Right.
He didn't shy away from the potential downsides of progress, which made his advocacy for things like space exploration even more compelling.
Yeah.
It wasn't escapism. It was about ensuring humanity's long-term survival.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I keep coming back to this feeling of possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, he achieved incredible things, but it's more than that. It's like he unlocked a different way of thinking, of approaching challenges that we can all tap into.
That's beautifully put, and it circles back to what you said earlier.
Yeah.
That sense of, what's our excuse now?
Right.
Hawking showed us that limitations, whatever form they take, don't have to dictate our potential.
Right.
It's about the questions we ask, the drive to push beyond what we think we know.
To our listener who provided these amazing excerpts, thank you for giving us this glimpse into Hawking beyond the textbooks.
Yes, thank you.
And to everyone listening, we hope this deep dive has sparked your own curiosity.
Because the journey of discovery never truly ends.
It's a good point.
Go read more about Hawking. Explore those what-if questions he posed, and most importantly, carry that spirit of exploration into your own life, whatever your passions may be.
Beautifully said. This has been The Deep Dive. Thanks for joining us in Tech.